As we said on our last moment of meditation, here on our last video, we were reviewing the things that started to take place inside a period that in the Bible is called the dispensation of the Gentiles. In order to understand the true objective of this series of studies that we are doing, we need to base ourselves in the teachings of Paul, and you're going to see that there is a connection between what Paul taught and what's been shown to John in the island of Patmos. When we enter into chapter 2 of Revelations, we found that the message that was addressed to the churches that were in the Minor Asia, to Ephesus and Smyrna and Pergamum and Thyatira and Laodicea, we already studied that Jesus, in the middle of the seven candlesticks, represents himself walking amongst his church in the trajectory that the church would have here on earth. We also saw that those seven candlesticks represent the 7 periods which God would stop treating with the Jews, his compromise, and he opens a parenthesis to treat with the rest of the nations. You gotta remember that when Jesus started his ministry, he came only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. If you remember, he even dismissed a Syrophoenician woman, treating her as a dog, and saying that it wasn't right to take the bread of the children and throw it to the dog, because he doesn't answer to a Gentile by calling him a son of David. He was treating exclusively with the Jew people. When he died and resurrects, then his own kind rejected him, and then he started treating with the ones that weren't considered his people, considered even as filthy. In the vision that Peter had in the book of Acts, chapter 10, Paul called that the fullness of the Gentiles. He called that God breaking the natural branches of the olive tree in order to graft them into a wild one. Pay attention that here we are connecting this to the 7 churches that would represent those 7 periods here on earth. Actually, we already studied that the Age of Ephesus is kind of like that you can understand the principle, the beginning. The church begins in the day of Pentecost, in the year 33, the Christian age. But when Paul came to start a work, because Paul converted himself 16 years after Jesus' resurrection, and when he came to start that work in the city of Ephesus, then we were in the year 53, and that's when it was born. I already told how Brother Branham taught us that Paul, in order for you to understand better, is like the mold. You know, if the mold is square, the cake will be square. And if the mold is round, the cake will be round. Paul is the mold, so that every minister could follow. Although all of the ministers may not have the same mastery of the word as Paul had, they will try to be near to what that man lived and taught, because the great mystery is not to teach, but to live. Also has said that Brother Branham didn't came here to bring us a doctrine. He came to bring us back to the scriptures, to live them. So Paul here is the model. When we were studying the Age of Ephesus, we're studying like that. That what happened in the Age of Ephesus would serve also as a model to all of the churches in all of the 7 dispensations. It's also good to remember that in the ending of our last show, I said that we would study what is the work of the Nicolaitans and where that started. It was born here in the first stage of the church. What is Nicolaitanism? If we take the word Nicolaitanism, as Brother Branham said, it came from 2 words from the Greek language, Nikao, that means conquer, and laism, that means lake, the Lakeman. Those 2 words put together, it means conquer the Lakeman. When you take the first word, you can never forget. See, we're studying the Age of Ephesus. It's the first age of the church, of the Gentile church. See, if it is the first, and that will roll and follow the other ages of the church, think how the conquest started. Where and when? Let's take a step back in time and return to heaven. Lucifer went out to conquer and conquered a third part of the angels. And how did he do that? See, that is the same spirit. That's why it's being denounced here as a thing that God despises, that God hates, which is people allowing themselves to be conquered by wrong spirits. Here starts the subject of conquering. Lucifer conquered the Lakeman. He conquered the angels. And then God descends and inaugurates His kingdom here on earth. The serpent conquered Eve. And you have again a fall. Now here is the same spirit going against the church to conquer it. And God said, I despise that spirit. And when we get to Nicolaitanism, to see and understand in an easy way what is that spirit, which means conquer somebody. Back there was the angels, then was Eve, and it can be you, could be me, it can be anyone. So we need to place our foot on the ground. Why the angels were conquered? Because they left the word. They left God to follow a spirit, a conquering spirit, a wrong one. Why did Eve fail? Again, we have the same picture. She left the word and followed another spirit. Why is God denouncing this here on the first church? Because the people had already left their first love. The passion and the love and the desire of serving God in spirit had been abandoned. And abandoned why? Because someone had conquered them. What was it and how the people were conquered? It's the same way that He conquers people nowadays. We can't look at those facts as something astonishing. It happened on heaven, it happened on Eden. Isn't it happening nowadays? Isn't it happening to you? Aren't you a prisoner of some spirit? So I want here to end this video by saying we're going to focus on the subject of Nicolaitanism on our next video. think about what God said. This is the end, and I would like to leave it to this. But you do have this going for you. You hate what the Nicolaitans practice. Practices I also hate. May God help you to never be conquered by this spirit.